Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome back. 23 hours after we finished last night, and we are here and ready to roll. So thank you very much for being here. A lot of updates today. Malcolm Beals, I see you there. You get the first hello of the night over there in Great Britain. Good morning to you, my friend. Pat Schoaf, I see you there. Paul Kiss, resident Canadian, Pennsylvanian. Brentwood, California. Beverly Niss, welcome to you. Andrea Schoaf, she's watching from the laundromat. Hey, we'll take it. Ben Waldrum out there in Nevada. Jeffrey Burnett, Western Placer County. Ricochet, Palm City Beach, Florida. DeSade, Oklahoma. Baltimore, Maryland for KM. Welcome to you. I know RDOT right there is out in Arizona. Cheryl Brownlee out there in Wisconsin. Edward Dooley, welcome to you, sir. Lynn Fireball down there in Virginia. We're getting them all covered. Beardy Day, nice to see you here, my friend, Mr. IA. Going to be a good night, and as always, thank you, Jeffrey Burnett, for the moderation. Shirley Phelps, welcome in from Washington State. Blake Parker, another cheesehead. The Whisk, isn't that the cheeseheads? Yeah, the cheeseheads are piling up in here, folks. Amy Durave, welcome to you. Well, folks, it's going to be a good night. I have spoken to Jania. He was supposed to be on the program with me tonight, but he's on the road, believe it or not. He's put down over 1,000 miles today. So the deal is, on Wednesday, I head to Helsinki, Finland, and then from Finland, I will meet him in Warsaw, Poland, and the gentleman coming to be a part of our team will meet us in Warsaw. So Jania is actually out making a run. There's multiple parts of this run, 3 parts of this run. Hope to have him in here tomorrow night, but the 3 parts of the run are: number 1, he is running refugees from, they were in Khmelnytsky at our center, to Germany. They have nothing. He's going to video them. They said they would and do some translation, but they lost everything. Their home, their property, their vehicles, they have 0. So they are heading to Germany to be with family. They have nothing. So when you have nothing, we've got to do what we've got to do. So this worked out. So Zhenya is in the process of running them to Germany. So he is actually in Poland tonight. He did have to make a run up to Vilnius, Lithuania today. I'm telling you guys, we think it's so big. It's tiny. So he's out of Ukraine. He's been into Poland. He's went up into Lithuania. Now he's back into Poland. Tomorrow into Germany. He's going to the other side of Germany. He's going to be picking up medical supplies. He's also going to see his children who have been out of the country and safe with their mom. So he's going to be able to see his family. And then he routes back into Warsaw and picks me up at the airport. So that's the plan. So we'll be having him getting ready for us during the week here as we're watching what he's doing. And then, of course, once we get back into Ukraine, it's 3 runs we're going to be doing. So we'll keep you posted on all of that. And it's been a great day all around the board. Lots of things have happened, lots of accomplishments, lots of good, really good stuff today. And you're going to get caught up on it right here, right now. So here we go. Let's get to it. Day 177. Right before I went online tonight, we have a beautiful map of Ukraine. D-Sync, good evening to you from Vancouver, California. Welcome. Pretty much most of the nation right now, and they're coming in and coming out, meaning they're sounding, and they'll sound for 20, 30 minutes, then they'll go off. And then they're coming again. This is the air raid warning siren map over the last couple of hours. Right. The entire country. So I'm watching all the things here, and we will see if there are strikes. As of right now, everything's good. They are seeing some projectiles were possibly fired out of the Caspian, but very, very early on that. So we'll see. Now, so much good stuff tonight. Erdogan confirmed today in a news conference that yesterday he asked the question. Now, we know yesterday I covered this for you, and we were talking about how that basically it was a 40-minute conversation. Erdogan was meeting Zelensky in in Lviv. Of course, Ukraine was not happy about that at all because just a week before, he's making deals with Putin. So Ukraine doesn't operate that way. Being respectful, recognizing Erdogan as a world leader, president of a major nation, Turkey. He does meet with him, of course. They are members of NATO. So he's respectful, but the meeting was only 40 minutes. And yesterday, the information was they were talking about grain and maybe participation in reconstruction and maybe in the future some type of military cooperation, just normal stuff, nothing earth-shattering. And that's all we heard. Today, Erdogan, in his presidential news address back in Turkey, stated that, yes, he did ask Zelensky to meet Putin in Turkey, and let's talk about this. Zelensky gave him a one-word answer. No, I will not meet Putin. I have set the standard and the precedent. I will communicate with him when there is not one Russian boot on Ukrainian sovereign territory, not to 2014, not to 2022, but to the 1991 multinational agreement of our sovereign borders, including Lugansk, Donetsk, and Crimea. So the no. Now, this is not the cheer, but this was in Lviv today. And I'll show you this clip. President Zelensky came out of a meeting. He was taking some tours today in Lviv, looking at infrastructure, visiting more hospitals, doing the things that he does. And he came out of a building and there was a crowd waiting for him. These people in Ukraine support President Zelensky. They support not giving up 1 square inch of their dirt, and they're not going to do it. They are not going to do it. So here is Zelensky. Just a cool little video to get us started tonight. He's saying thank you. Thank you all. Glory to Ukraine. Good luck to you. I don't know, just stuff like that just confirms to me, and I like to share it. I mean, they're supporting their president and they're supporting the path that Ukraine has chosen because they know. They absolutely know. In fact, Ricochet shared with me today a Twitter video from 1950s about back during the Stalin era, and the same thing was happening in Ukraine. And it's just history repeating itself. If they give up, they know they're gone. That's it. And they're not going to give up, and we're going to support them completely. Now, 24-hour activity. We've had some activity today, the normal places, because everything was focused on Energodar, and we're going to talk about that in just a few moments. Praise God, nothing blew up. There was minimal to zero shelling on the plant today for the first time in quite a while. There is definitely a game of chess being played over that nuclear power plant. We're going to see who's going to win it. But as of today, as of right now, no major problems there. There are major, but I'm talking nuclear. But Mykolaiv continuing to be shelled, struck from the air. Kryvyi Rog is continuing to be struck. And this is not a new city. It's been struck quite a bit, but the pace that Kryvyi Rog is being hit is increasing. And I believe that is due to the Russian forces feel that they have Nikopol pretty much subdued. No, there's not a boot there, but they have shelled that place nonstop for weeks. Now, over in the east with the purple circle, the purple oval, rather, that is the Eastern Front. That is all of those nations. The red there, of course, is not the control areas of the RF. This is where the RF is amassing forces as we look toward the 24th, which is Independence Day. Much intelligence there. But in the east, very, very tough time there, especially in Kramatorsk. Last night, a dormitory and a college, I know that's Kharkiv too, But Kramatorsk, a college, was struck. I mean, it's not leveled, but it's destroyed. It's done. There will be major reconstruction needed, but of course, there's still shelling everywhere. But it was called a military target there in Kramatorsk. I'm going to show you about that in just a moment. And then, of course, in Kyiv, it is non-stop shelling. Absolutely non-stop shelling. August 17th and 18th, the mayor of Kyiv said, since the war began, or this phase of it, on February the 24th, August 17th and 18th have been the most difficult days in Kyiv since the war began. You see the picture right there in the black and white. It's terrible what they're doing to Kyiv. It's residential. It is not military targets. It's schools. It's medical centers. And he had a nice quote today. He said, we're tired, but we're not broken. You know, I know I'm going to have a lot clearer understanding of this here in a few weeks. But I can just imagine being under an air raid siren nonstop and shelling nonstop. Of course, this is a part of the reason that Kyiv gives some clarity today, and that's the title of tonight's update, and we'll get to that in just a few moments. So Kyiv, very difficult day. Kramatorsk, military targets are rolling, and that is absolutely tongue-in-cheek. You can see there, I've got Kramatorsk circled on the left. For those of you that are new, that is about 200,000 there in that city. 175, 200, 100, 125 in Slavyansk. This is a pretty decent combo city metro area. Kramatorsk, very strategic. I've been there many times. And in fact, just a few minutes ago, Zhenya and I were discussing Kramatorsk, and he said, man, did you see the video out today about the destruction of the college? I said, yes. Not only did I see it, but I've got it ready to go tonight, and I'm going to show everybody. He goes, we were there when we were in Kramatorsk, and that would have been on the last trip. He did not only go south, he went east into Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. He said, we were right there at that college. It was beautiful standing, and he goes, when I saw that today, even being out of the country, I said, oh my goodness, they are destroying everything. There, the black line right in the middle. You guys that have been here quite a bit, you know that is the M3 highway. Vital, because other than the cities in the M3, this is a very rural area and a no man's land. That highway is going to be key. Whoever owns that highway, and right now, Ukraine does. Whoever owns that highway will win this region, this battle right here. That highway is going to be key. Right now, Ukraine's holding it, and holding it well in this area. And they need to continue to do so. So let me show you now the video that Zhenya was talking about. It's pretty much unbelievable. I've got it right here. There's some subtitles on it, but I will translate those for you over top. Kramatorsk, the bottom says, Kramatorsk College of Technology Design, another military target of the Russians. At dawn today, this college was shelled. This building was seriously damaged, but there were no casualties. Russia only brings death and destruction. And you can see the sign there over that. It was Kramatorsk Pedagogical College. So that was, you can see, you're not fixing that in time for school to start on September the 1st. Not happening. Just destruction, folks. Absolute destruction. You guys also know this fellow right here. His name is Denis Pushilin. He is the leader of the Donetsk People's Republic. He came out today and reiterated that there will be a referendum in Donetsk, but the referendum will only take place once the entire region or oblast of Donetsk is occupied. Well, good luck, bud. At the pace that Russia is gobbling up ground, and we know that they are scorching the earth. Everything that you see on the right of that map that is covered in red, it's leveled. It's leveled. And that, of course, that's not an absolute. Yeah, there's a building here and a building here that wasn't touched, but they're the minimum. Most of these towns, 90% destroyed, 90% destruction. He's saying that we're not going to have the referendum until the rest of Donetsk is occupied and taken. Now, with that said, you've got Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, and then you come all the way down to the southern. Other than that, it really is a lot of no man's land, a lot of rural, very rural land. So I don't think it's going to happen by the date they wanted, which was about mid-September. So he was very clear today. We're going to have a referendum, but when we are holding the territory. Good luck to you there, buddy. Eastern Analysis. This is from the Institute of the Study of War. This came out actually late last night. And these guys, this is a think tank that I follow a lot. These guys are sharp. They're multinational. They are veterans. They're not just, some nerd at a computer. These are military people, intelligent people, and experienced. They provide great analysis. Their analysis was last night, prior to today, the 19th. There will be no explosion at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, but we can lose it. That was a quote right from Zhdanov. They then said Russia plans to transfer the 5th and 6th power units to cold mode, and the station will cease to be a source of electricity. I started thinking about that last night. I saw this come across about midnight last night, and I said, you know what? There's some really good chess going on here. We're shelling, we're moving people out. We're accusing this, we're accusing that. Today, Putin and Macron talked, and Putin said, yeah, I think we can arrange something where we can go do an inspection. You guys already know there's military equipment inside reactor buildings. I showed it to you last night. In fact, we were one of the first ones to have that video. Proud of that. But I think the ultimate goal here, nobody is this crazy to blow up that nuclear power plant. They're crazy enough to shell it and we can have an accident. But I think really the goal here is to shut it down. Because Russia doesn't need it. It's not really connected to the Russian grid and infrastructure. But if it is shut down, it is going to erase a massive amount of power out of the Ukrainian grid. So I'm thinking today, one of the Ukrainian, what would you call those guys? Nuclear scientist was talking on a program there in Ukraine, talking about exactly what the Institute for the Study of War talked about last night. The 5th and the 6th reactors. Somebody has some intelligence somewhere, and I don't mean brain power. I mean, they know something. It must really be the goal to shut this plant down. So I've got this for you, and you can hear these guys talking about it. Translation at the bottom.
Они хотят перевести в холодный режим 5-й, 6-й энергоблоки. Так. А я так понимаю, что они строились последними, и на них очень многое завязано. Если эти 2 энергоблока перевести в холодный режим, то есть погасить их полностью, охладить, то тогда ляжет вся станция. То есть мы потеряем Запорожскую атомную, потом ее будет восстанавливать, запускать. Там не будет выбросов, не будет этих, если это все правильно сделать. Но станция просто прекратит быть источником электроэнергии. Вот они какой. Это из последней информации, которую я видел, встречал в СМИ. Вот такое вот они хотят устроить. Потому что я не думаю, что... Видите, вы же видели карту, модель. Если Константин найдет быстро, покажет. Спрогнозировали компьютерную модель, как может двигаться радиоактивное облако в случае аварии на Запорожской атомной.
Сейчас узнаем у Константина.
Но так, карта делалась под погоду, под погодные условия с 15 по 18 августа. Вот. Роза ветров постоянно меняется, но до Российской Федерации ближе всего, до их границ.
And that is something we really need to pay attention to, is the weather, the winds, all of that. I see some comments in here about this, and Maximal Mustang talking about units offline, online, must be connected to a grid. They may have, but initially early in the war, there was no connection of the nuclear power plant at Zaporizhzhia to the Russian grid. I'm sure they're working on it. Now, here's what's interesting. That is a Ukrainian nuclear scientist, right? Talking about the Ukrainian power plant. He's Ukrainian. What language was he speaking? He was not speaking Ukrainian. He was speaking Russian. Once again, back to the same thing that we try to share and show. This has nothing to do with language. So the 19th has come. It's gone. It's the 20th. Praise God. No major explosions. We shall continue to watch it. We're going to see if these units get shut down. But Ukraine U-24, which is a television station, released today an explanation in English to document for the world. You see, when things are released in Ukrainian or even Russian, unless somebody like our guys and myself are translating it, the world has no idea what these people are saying. There's no documentation. So Ukraine U-24 today released this actually in English to share, so that as of this moment in time, there is an English documentation. Here we go.
The plant has a total capacity of about 6,000 megawatts. That's enough to power about 4 million homes. Well, that was before March 4th, 2022. That's the date when the hostile shells hit close to the plant for the first time, and the Russian military invaded it, taking the entire staff hostage. The territory of the NPP is transformed into a military base for the Russian troops. Russian forces also packed the spot with their weapons, explosives, and military hardware.
Russia is now using the plant as a military base to fire at Ukrainians.
As if it weren't bad enough, Zaporizhzhia NPP, controlled by the Russian military, is literally a powerful tool for worldwide nuclear threat.
Open nuclear blackmail.
And these 6 nuclear units together with stored nuclear waste give solid ground for that. One of the latest shellings almost hit the nuclear containers, causing fire. If at least one container is hit, it can cause an enormous radiation leak. Strikes are getting closer and have already damaged some critical parts of the sprawling nuclear complex. According to reports, Russian occupiers have mined the turbines, while their artillery keeps shelling the nuclear plant site, saying it is Ukraine to blame. No such country in the world can feel safe when a terrorist state fires at a nuclear power plant. What is clear is that any accident at the power plant could have catastrophic consequences. 42 countries have demanded that Russia demilitarize the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, according to a joint statement. Some infrastructure of the nuclear plant has already been damaged. If the water stream suffers disruption, the reactors could lose cooling, and the fuel will start melting and can explode, sending out a radiation cloud. The actions of Russian occupiers can be predicted, but the way of the radioactive cloud is absolutely not. It can go anywhere, hitting any part of Europe and even far beyond it. Zaporizhzhia NPP is located in the middle of the continent, so it'd be a play of luck for all of us, and the scale of the potential threat would overtake the tragedies of Fukushima or Chernobyl 10 times over.
So, a little bit of documentation. There's English. We've got it. We're going to see what happens. I did see, I think Maximal Mustang must be a nuclear scientist. He knows this topic. That's what makes this community so great. I still think this is setting up a situation for limited meltdown, something that will require cleanup and thus cooperation with the RU occupiers, classic theme of legitimizing their authority. I think that is very bright statement, and for sure, for sure, this is a major piece in this war. This is a top 5. Crimea is a top 5. Right now, this eastern region is a top 5. Odessa is a top 5. Kharkiv is a top 5. And Zaporizhzhia, of course, is the top 5. You get to the top 10 important things. You're then bringing in Kyiv. You're bringing in Zaporizhzhia, these regions where they want to close off for the referendums. It gets very deep, but for sure, top 5. So here we have it. That's your update. You're fully updated on Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant as of right now. Now, let's move up north to Belarus. Lukashenko today made a statement, and basically the entire Russian-speaking world, Ukrainian-speaking world laughed at him all day long. Here is his quote. Now, this is interesting. I've got 2 slides on Lukashenko and Belarus. This first one is his statement. The second one is what happened after the statement. This is nuts. Here we go. Lukashenko said, man, it's statement spelt wrong. Don't look at that. I hate that. Don't think that I'm planning on attack here in Minsk, or we are going to bomb Ukraine from the territory of Belarus and so on. No, but Russia's doing it, just so you know. I have no desire for your and my children to fight. In the name of what? We need to calm down. And then he made this statement, and I put it in red. He said, be clear, Ukraine is not at war today. Let that one sink in for a moment. Yes, my translation's perfect. Perfect. Be clear, Ukraine is not at war today. Well, what are they doing? They're not at war? He clarifies it, saying the entire NATO bloc, and specifically America, is at war with Russia. So, what does he say? Ukraine's not at war. We don't want to get involved. There's no bombs coming from us. We're cool. It's only America and NATO. And right after that, it wasn't an hour later. What happened? A squadron of 6 planes ran sorties out of the Belarusian airfields through Zhytomyr and Kyiv Oblast. But remember, Belarus is not involved in this war. It was within an hour of him making those statements. It was 6 planes rolling out of a Belarus airfield. Of course, Russian planes. But if you're holding them and hosting them, it's you doing it. And remember, Ukraine's not at war. Brilliant. You see why there was some laughing on that today. Now, huge news. Danilov. Who is Danilov? Danilov is the Secretary of Defense for Ukraine. We've talked about him half a dozen times on the program, over 177 days, but it's not a face or name you typically know, like a Zelensky or a Podolyak. But Danilov, very important, Secretary of Defense, signed the official orders for complete Crimean demilitarization. Officially signed. It's the target. Now, we know we're having success with sabotage. I can tell you as well, throughout Crimea today, I've got video of it out the wazoo. Throughout Crimea today, Russia was working their air defense units to make sure they were ready to go. Missiles were not flying in. That's what everybody was saying. Oh, the missiles are flying in from Ukraine. Danilov signed the order. No, but Russia was preparing. They know it's coming. It's coming. I don't know how, but Danilov signed it, and he said it's a priority. We are going to demilitarize Crimea. I remind you, this is all the code language, the war of words. Remember, on February the 24th, it was Putin who said, we are conducting a special military operation to demilitarize and to denazify Ukraine. Well, he puts the word demilitarize right back in their face. Directive from Kyiv. This is the title of the program. 3 directives came out today. This is right from, we would just have to say the president's office, but from the national headquarters there. How they call it the Rada, but the guy's running it, which of course starts with President Zelensky. Directives, 3 requirements for Ukrainian citizens. They made one statement: do not ignore our information. period. That's a directive. And then the statement came with some clarifying substatements. Please be focused on August the 24th. Yes, it will be our Independence Day, and we will celebrate, but we will not celebrate in any groups, in any parades. There will be nothing, no social gatherings in a square, because listen, on the 24th of August, it would be like July 4th in the United States, or whatever country you're watching from tonight, whenever it is your country's birthday, fireworks and festivals and big groups. You know how it is. Ukraine's the same way. But it's strictly forbidden. No mass groups, and pay attention because they are expecting provocation. Secondly, the directive was on the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Do not play with it. This is not a game. We are expecting this to go downhill. We hope it does not. Listen to every command we give, every instruction we give, and anybody that is around there that can get out, leave that area. And third, air raid sirens. Somebody in the chat asked the other night, we were watching the video on some of the cleanup there in Mykolaiv. The mayor was talking about it, and we had it translated for you. And there were some questions in the chat. Why aren't those guys running or getting in safety when the air raid warning sirens going on? And we talked about it, you guys were talking about it in the chat with fatigue or just tired of doing it, whatever. Out of Kyiv, the third directive today. Please, when you hear the air raid siren, get to the shelters, get to the bunkers, get to the basements, get to where you're supposed to. Do not grow weary. We're going to win this war. So, directives came from Kyiv, very positive, but very direct and much needed. Now, mobile repairmen, I want to share this story with you. There are two guys here that are doing mobile repair. I know it's hard to think about this because many of you that are in here are veterans or active from maybe American or other nations, and you guys operate differently. For example, I do know enough to know that in our military, we have full units that are, and I may be using the wrong word, units, whatever, groups, platoons, brigades, companies, maybe a company, that are there just to repair vehicles, to do the equipment maintenance. Ukraine doesn't have that in the level that, say, America would or other nations. They do have some, but right now they actually have guys that are volunteering to be mobile. They drive around a bulletproof, shielded up repair vehicle, and they go to the vehicle that's broken down, try to find some safety and repair it. This, you see, is a team of a father and son. Very cool little story here. Check these two guys out.
Війна змусила залишити бізнес, передати в руки партнерові і взяти до рук зброю для того, щоб захистити державу. Батько – це завжди допомога і опора, і завжди важлива ця підтримка, особливо зі сторони рідної людини. Само собою переживаю і за батька, і за рідних, та і за всіх хлопців українських солдатів. На даний момент займаємось ремонтом техніки.
Я вважаю, що він на своєму місці, він може ремонтувати і приносити велику користь.
Ремонтуємо все, що доводиться, від легкової техніки до важкої військової техніки.
Very, very cool story. Father and son sacrificing everything to work to keep the Ukrainian military vehicles running. So big shout out to those guys tonight. I want to give a huge shout out to the Estonian president, Alar Karas. In fact, Aipa's in here from Finland. Right across the Baltic Sea there is Estonia. And I'll be very close to there in a few days when I'm in Helsinki. Estonian president, cool dude. His name is Alar Karas. He joined the volunteer army as a sign of support. Now, he did not lay down his presidential duties. but he has taken time off to join the volunteer army, and he is a part of the team working side by side with volunteers sewing camo nets. You know what, Mr. President? We need more people like that guy around the world. Much cheers to you, Allah Karis. This is why we're going to win this war. I'm telling you. Been saying it for 177 days. We're going to win the war. I had a funny question today. Let me tell you this. I called my daughter. My daughter's, one of them's 22 and married. And I called her today. I had a doctor's appointment and getting everything ready to go to across the pond here in a few days. And I'm driving back from the doctor, and I said, you know what, let me call Grace. So I called her, and she's switching jobs and all excited. And she's been married, I think, 2 years now, and everything's great. And I said, she goes, Dad, why are you going? She goes, now I understand it. You've been working there for so long. These people are your brothers and sisters. You speak the language. You know Ukraine like you know America, and it's your second home. I get it, Dad, but it is a war zone, and the things that you are preparing to do, I'm really concerned for you. I said, well, honey, I'm doing it because they would do it for me. And we send a lot of money. We're sending lots of resources. But we're going to go put the boots on the grounds for a few weeks and send some real love face to face and hand to hand. She goes, well, that's great, Dad, but the missiles are still flying. I said, we've got good intelligence, good team, good security. I've got my own American security guy going with me. He's a veteran. He is a beast mode. We've got everything we need. She goes, okay, Dad, if something happens over there and you get killed, I just want you to know that I'm coming over there. I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you again. I said, honey, we're going to do our best and we're going to stay safe. So, you know what? This is why we're here, because we care and we stand for it. She's all for it now. She's not pumped, but she's good. Estonia increases aid as the EU slows. Many nations in the EU, I can start calling them, but I won't, have slowed down their aid. In fact, out of Kyiv today, Kyiv said, you know what, we're making lots of calls on some of the equipment that was supposed to be supplied that's not here yet, and our calls are not even being returned. Very goofy time going on in this war right now as we start to approach bad weather. But Estonia today increased their aid as the EU slows. So we have the Estonian president sewing camo nets, and Estonia as a nation bringing in more mortars, more anti-tank weapons, a field hospital in cooperation with Germany. Thank you, Germany. And service members will join the UK-led program for further training. So big thank you there to the nation of Ukraine. Remember, we nicknamed them the little bulldog. Humanitarian volunteers thinking of others first. You can see this gentleman here having a talk with this lady. They were trying to get some things together and maybe get them out of there, and a couple shells flew by. They're talking, about 15-second video here, but I just want you to show, the humanitarian volunteer, when the shells started flying, he was even thinking, I'm going to protect this lady. Pretty cool right here.
Прямо поедете, вас еще больше, блядь, накроет.
Ну, то есть мы сейчас спускаемся и сразу направо.
Поселок.
That's it. It just shows. Always thinking about others. This is why Ukraine's going to win this war. Period. Finally, final number one of two. Final number one is this. Remember, I'm teaching you in here Ukrainian culture, how Ukrainians communicate. This is directly from the Defense Department of Ukraine. They put out a message today. On the right, you see a satellite in that picture. On the left, that is actually a picture of the Kerch Bridge. More chatter, more talk about the Kerch Bridge. it's in the crosshairs. Defense of Ukraine, I can't make this stuff up, folks. You're learning Ukrainian culture being here every night. Look what they write. We, period, see, period, you, period. Talking about the satellite and the Kerch Bridge. Ukrainian people fundraised $20 million to watch Russian occupiers smoking negligently over the illegal Kerch Bridge. As you know, smoking in public places in Ukraine is prohibited. Listen, I'm not hacking and making that stuff up and photoshopping. That is the real message today. This is how they roll. This is how they communicate. Finally, last thing tonight, and you're going to be fully updated for this evening, is once again, thank you. I was out getting stuff prepped for the trip, was working on some of the documentation that Zhenya needs. He's getting us some passes and different types of protocols in place before we arrive. I came back to the office this afternoon, and somebody said, look on your desk, they just keep coming. So I want to give a big cheer out to this fantastic community. You remember the box last night? You filled another one up. Let's see. Let's go main cam. You filled another one up. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. See y'all. All Amazon. I'm surrounded by tourniquets and chest seals. Folks, if you were wondering, is PG going to have to take a third bag? Absolutely. With joy, we're going to pay for a third bag. And listen, we've got a lot of stuff collecting, and people have been messaging. I know much more is arriving on Monday. Remember, you can purchase even until Tuesday. Well, it needs to be here by Tuesday. But guys, you were doing awesome. Desade, let me tell you about that. The Amazon guy came in and had this bag, this delivery bag. Oh, yeah, that's how it happened. The Amazon guy is the guy talking to me today. I was in the office, and the Amazon guy walked in with this big bag. He goes, man, what is all this stuff? And I said, take it over my desk over there and let's dump it out. And he dumped them all out. And I said, you know what all those are? I said, he said, no. He said, but it's a lot of them. I said, well, it was same as yesterday. They started arriving on Wednesday, actually. Today's Friday. He said, no. I said, they're tourniquets. He looked at me real strange. I said, and they're chest seals. He looked strange. He goes, what on earth? I said, they're going to Ukraine to support the war. And he basically said something like this. Well, I'm all about that. Good luck to you guys. So, hey. People are behind it. So once again, thank you. I now have to unclear my desk here. Let's see here. Bob Peccarelli, welcome to you. What? No t-shirt. Just saw RDOT. They were asking Russians to purchase no smoking signs for shipping Ukrainian Crimea. Yeah, listen, this is how they roll. It's how they communicate. Let's see here, IPA. But that's from a Finn right there about the IAEA visit to the nuclear power plant. If that ever happens, which we shall see, it will be supervised and no access will be allowed to areas where Russian troops or military equipment are stored. You are absolutely correct. Why does Putin want to now extend the olive branch and say, okay, we can do it. We can look at it. Because they can then control the narrative. That's it. Can they ship to Poland too if need be later? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We're going to see what we get over there. And honestly, guys, once I get there and see, we'll see what we need to do next. But this is the number one need right now on those front lines are tourniquets. So thank you. Ross and Lena, ask Mom to send me an email before you go. Will do. Blessings down there in Tasmania, my friend. All right, folks, you are fully updated. Thank you. And thank you for all of this. It's unbelievable. But you know, I was talking to one of our pastors in church today. He's 80 years old. And he goes, man, we're doing good. I said, yeah. I said, here it is. You know, these are expensive. There's a lot of money here that we're going to hand carry over and deliver and shake their hand and say, this is from people around the world that support you. He goes, you know what? It's great when a community develops and people work together to do something that's right. With that, I'm going to leave you because that's what we're doing. We'll have the next update for you in 23 hours. Peace to you and peace to Ukraine. You guys have a good night. Be blessed.